Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Morning Call Show. I'm Bob Sellers here with Jerry Burke. We're just a couple old cable news guys, Jerry, trying to find the right
Yeah,
and wrong in between the right and left. There you go.
that's right. You said it. You said it.
So,
As always,
yeah,
I got a
looks
bunch.
like,
I got a
yeah,
bunch
go
of
ahead. Go ahead.
stories out there today for a casual Friday. But I want to start with you, Bob. You
Okay.
did a post yesterday with an innocent little graph trying to
Yes.
explain the rate of inflation.
Yes.
And here is the graphic. I don't know if you have it or not,
Oh,
but
I have it. I have it. Let me bring it
that
up.
little bit of red is where you say Trump's inflation comes in before
Right.
that.
Okay.
That comes
So
in
here it
just after.
is.
There you go.
Because what I was trying to depict is I went back to pre COVID. Okay. And what all of us are experiencing is 29%, almost 30% inflation. That's what we are all experiencing. And
Yeah.
Trump's portion of that is relatively small at 5.1%. I'm not letting him off the hook because if you do the math on that, at the end of 4 years, he would have added 13% or more. So it's not like that's nothing.
Yeah.
But this
But
is I
this
think it's
little,
part of why he doesn't get it. It's like, why is everybody so upset? The inflation isn't what it was. Well, it's still too high. It's not going down. You put on tariffs and you went to war in Iran, and it's driving up prices on many levels, especially, as I say, a lot of times what they strip out food and energy to get a core rate, right? And that looks better. So if you don't eat and if you don't need energy to propel your car or heat your home, hey, things are great.
it's too late for you, Bob. Okay.
Okay.
You can't explain your way out of this. The nattering nabobs of negativity online
Oh, a nice
tore,
Spiro Agnew callback, by the way. Yeah.
yes, tore into your innocent little graphic.
Yes.
I won't name names, but we do encourage comments. We love the
Yes.
comments.
Absolutely.
This guy just drew the line underneath that said, "What an incredibly dishonest graphic." How about
Okay.
that? You
Yes.
can't defend yourself on that. And then the other fella, sorry, but most Americans will not understand that graphic.
Fair
So
enough.
not only is it dishonest, it could be misleading, Bob. You've dug yourself quite a hole. And then I happened to mention Iran, saying that for my part, I kind of feel like Iran came out of nowhere. I mean, Iran was
Well,
bubbling along for years and years and years, and then boom,
yeah.
suddenly, well, somebody wrote, "What do you mean Iran has come out of nowhere?" So,
Okay.
forgive me, I have my head in the sand like an ostrich. But what do you make of the backlash, Bob?
Well, okay. Here's that graph again. The portion that's Trump's is in red. The portion that all of us are experiencing, if you go back to 2020, pre COVID, that's why all of us are, wait a minute, inflation's out of control. And Trump doesn't seem to relate to the average person that, I'm sorry, but since you were president, by the way, a portion of that was on your watch, Mr. President. And then we're all experiencing 30% inflation because that's what we want. We want to go back to the way things were. I was just trying to show the most recent portion, Trump 2, Trump 47, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, but
But
you have underlying symptoms of prejudice. Okay, as an
which
older,
way? Which way? Which way?
uh, to hear me out, as an older
Yeah.
white male filled with privilege, um, why blue? Doesn't that indicate that's Biden's inflation, not COVID's inflation?
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
saying readers are looking at that, and this says to me that Trump is only responsible for that much inflation, and Biden is responsible for that much. How about that?
Right. Well, but that Biden did that over 4 years. He also did that in the recovery after um, COVID, after, everything stopped and everything was backed up. And then the government gave away a lot of money. And
Mm.
people had money burn a hole in their pockets. And then everything opened up again. And demand for goods and services zoomed and inflation zoomed because so much money was chasing so few goods. That's the definition of inflation. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to show, why are people upset? If I hadn't put the Trump portion on there, I think everybody would agree. Yeah, 30%, that's pretty painful. But I was trying to throw in there Trump's argument. Well, wait a minute, that's not me. And it's like, okay, but you're the guy in the office now. You are the
Right.
guy that has applied tariffs. You are the guy that's trying to tell us affordability that they made that up, which is that's preposterous. We were talking about that. It's the economy, stupid. Anybody that's been alive uh, anytime knows that people talk about affordability.
Right.
And I think your point that Iran came out of nowhere is kind of true. We all know about Iran. We all knew. We didn't know the war. Maybe if you had said the Iran war came
Yeah.
out of nowhere, and that has also closed the Strait of Hormuz, driven up oil prices, and consequently the price of gas.
Well, I want to thank our viewers and especially our commenters. You keep us honest. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that and thank you for that.
yeah,
Speaking, there was also a surge in daycare and hospice centers, especially up in Minneapolis, um, where our old friend James O'Keefe, remember him?
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he and others went undercover wearing full Muslim garb in
Okay.
Minneapolis and went up to election workers on a primary day. And the election workers told O'Keefe, don't show us ID. You are the ID. The very fact that you showed up here is ID, and everyone else that was with him. So then O'Keefe could turn around because it's the law there. As a verified voter, he then vouched for everyone else he brought along as being uh, identified and registered voters as well, even though they were not.
Yeah,
So it's a very revealing. It's being called jaw dropping undercover sting. They
yeah.
walked into Minneapolis polling places on primary day dressed in full Muslim attire, complete with a woman in a full burqa, and calmly tested Minnesota's absurd vouching systems where poll workers barely blinked.
A vouching system. How do
Yeah.
you, yeah, how do you have an ID with somebody in a burqa, by the way?
Well, right. I know. True. True. Do you look at the ID and go, okay, I can see two eyeballs,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
Yeah,
when
that's a
O'Keefe,
it go ahead.
yeah. Well, O'Keefe then made it crystal clear that the people with him were not registered and had no ID. One worker cheerfully confirmed he could vouch for them anyway.
Well, I would hope that if they did an audit in that circumstance, they wouldn't be able to match a vote with a registered voter and it would be tossed out because obviously that's not good.
Yeah.
And any place I've ever voted, blue state or red state, I've either had to sign something to match what I had on my registration card
Yeah.
or I had to show an ID, typically a driver's license, to prove that it's me. And the tabulation machines are just counting the paper ballots. 90% of places in the country, it's not like you put it into a computer and then the computer, well, let's write a program and change the numbers. No, it's counting how many are being put in. If you want to audit them, you go back, you get the paper, you say, okay, this is a yes vote or a no vote.
Mm.
And if you're trying to find, you try to match it now to a registered. Well, let's see, you couldn't do that registered, could you? Because it's just thrown in there, right?
Right. Yep. So,
Yeah.
there really is no way to verify. And I think, unlike a lot of other Americans, I am under the impression that most voting is electronic these days. Am I wrong?
The voting is electronic, but tabulation machines. When you could vote, I have voted on machines. Um, I've voted on machines that have produced a piece of paper, and I have gotten a piece of paper, written down what my votes are, and then fed it into a tabulation machine.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in most cases, the machines are simply counting. They're not, you don't put in a and now that's where I voted. And that's my understanding of most places are using tabulation machines. They're
Yeah.
not using programs. You and I know that I could write a program right now that every vote that's put in for Trump can be a vote for Jerry Burke. Oh yeah, I could
Mm.
write a program for that. But that's not the way the system works. So we all are familiar with how it could be crooked, but they have found no evidence that that has changed results in any major way um, through the past few years. And I don't
2020.
want to spend the next half hour talking about, well, we had this outside in Michigan that where they reversed I don't want to go into that. I'm just saying there have not been enough. But what you're talking about with O'Keefe, that's concerning because once that vote is cast, once they get past the
The
guy at the
poll
front
worker.
door, hey, can my
Right.
friends come in? Yeah, come on in. And then they give them yeah, that kind of thing definitely shouldn't happen.
No, no, it shouldn't. I have another item for you.
Go ahead.
This is pretty positive. The headline is um, Kansas. Kansas now, the students are forced off their phones during the school day. All the
Yeah,
phones have to be collected and locked up.
yeah. They're doing that in some other places. My wife's a teacher, and I'm all for it. I think that people are distracted. There's almost no good to come out of it. I think the only time we can think that it would be any positive out of it if there's a family emergency or, God forbid, somebody attacked the school and you want to be able to communicate. But that is such a tiny, tiny fraction of what happens in life. I
Yeah.
think it's a more positive influence that, like when you and I went to school, we didn't have our phones.
No, no, no.
Them yet.
You know,
And
and the funny thing is, I went 18 years of school without a family emergency.
well, I think we did too. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's what happened. So I'm all for that. And anybody that has pushback on that is not focusing on the importance of these kids
Well,
acting.
there are a group of parents who are up in
Oh,
arms because they
of
want to
course.
be able to reach their kid. You know, these
Yeah,
helicopter
we can.
parents.
Well, you know what? You know what they would do? Just like they did when we were students. You call the front office. You say, "Go get
Right,
Bobby. So and so has happened. We need to come
right,
pick him up." And you get a knock at the door. Excuse me, Mrs.
right. Go to
Williams.
the office.
Bobby, could you come here a second?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the way it works. So for them to that's an overreaction.
yeah. I agree. Do you have any thoughts? You have any stories today?
Yeah. Here's one.
Uh
That's our
oh.
national debt. We're approaching
40, is that 40
trillion,
trillion?
$40 trillion.
Wow, that number is going to take up the whole top line soon.
Yeah.
So
And
the debt per citizen, everybody owes 115 grand.
yeah.
Wow. And each
Yeah.
taxpayer owes 360.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Now, Bob, what is the number between
go
the
ahead.
bottom number is the US Treasury Reserve versus the
Yeah.
national debt. What is the difference between those two?
Well, there's a little bit of a game that goes on in sharing money uh, amongst different departments in the government. So if you look at Treasury Reserve, it's what's owed. It's like within the federal government, they will lend money. Like they'll take money out of Social Security to fund something else.
Oh,
So it's a game. If they can find money somewhere, they'll spend it somewhere else, but they still owe it. So, but when it comes down to it, there's $40 trillion owed, and the reason that matters um, is that it drives up interest rates for everybody.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the very least, because we're spending more on that now than the military. We're spending more on that than I think anything else except Social Security, and it's a problem. And by
And
the way,
you don't see the Fed doing anything about interest rates anytime.
the Fed can't do anything about that. The Fed could make, here's how it would work, Jerry. Let's say the Fed, we're going to make interest rates zero. So if you're a member bank, it's going to be free. You can offer or let's say 0.1% or whatever, virtually zero to make money available to other banks. And then you can go out and lend that money cheaper. And
Hmm.
then if you go to the bank, they've gotten the money cheaper, right? So they'd be able
Yeah,
to give me money cheaper. So instead of paying an 8, 6, 7% mortgage, theoretically, I'm going to get back to
yeah.
this. I can get money from the bank a lot cheaper than I did. Well, what do you think that would drive. It would drive inflation
Yeah.
because people would borrow. They would have more money, just like back during the when we unfroze the economy. Too much money chasing too few goods, and so you get inflation. What
Yeah.
the only way to stop inflation, a recession, I guess, because then you don't have economic activity, or you raise interest rates like Paul Volcker did back in the late 70s, early 80s. So you could make it zero. And the reason I say that is the way the Treasury raises money is they have auctions. And
Mm.
so they go out on the auction and they say, we are willing to give you 4.2% or 4.7%, or on a 30-year, 5.2%. And with that, you and I go, well, they're good for the money. I'm going to lend them my money and I'll get 5% per year,
Mm.
get paid every 6 months. I'm good with that, especially if it's 10 years. 30 years is a long time. But 10 years, I'm going to get 4.6%. That's pretty good. But if there's a lot of demand, including demand in the public market from the government, because the government needs more money. We're running short of money. We'll pay you this. Those are 10-year treasury bonds.
Mm.
They notes, and they're trying to get money to pay the government's bills. So the higher the debt goes, the more money the government has to borrow. As the
Oh,
government borrows that money, it's on the open market. 10-year treasuries, for instance. So that
yeah.
drives up everybody's. And typically, mortgage rates are based on the 10-year treasury because of the market. Typically, people keep a mortgage 10 years roughly. So there are
Mm.
mortgage backed securities. And so they're all in competition with each other to get investor money. So the government's competing also. So the more it owes, the more it has to borrow, tends to push up interest rates. So what the Fed does affects rates on the short end, but it doesn't affect it on the long end. And in fact, it lowered rates about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and the longer uh, uh, durations went up because they were afraid it would be inflationary.
Well, are we setting ourselves up for another big short scenario?
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Some
Michael
people say,
Burry, Dr. Michael Burry.
yeah, he thinks yeah, he's not the only one that thinks we're in a bubble, but
And
there are a lot
also
of people.
I'm seeing some stories about Sharia law, Muslims. They they uh they are not allowed to pay interest on loans. So they're
Yeah.
trying to get the government to make no interest loans available to them to buy houses or pay off credit cards and things like that.
Well, that's a nice little game that they can play. Oh, I can't pay you interest. My religion's against it. Well, this is
Right.
capitalism, and if you want to participate, you're welcome to pay interest, and you can call it what you want. You can say the big bunny fee. I mean, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to pay for the money. Banks sell money. I mean, they do other
Hmm.
things also, but basically that's their product, right? So they get it
Yeah.
for a certain level, and they lend it out at a certain level, and you
Yeah.
can call that interest rate what you want, but
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay something. If you want to buy money, you're going to have to pay something for it.
Um, I have one more story.
Yeah,
This is a little complicated, but now the Trump administration has stepped in to a baby surrogates battle over a baby born with a heart defect that the biological parents asked her to abort. So the biological parents asked their
yeah,
surrogate to abort the baby
right.
because it had a treatable heart defect, but they just didn't want the kid.
Yeah.
The surrogate said no. She went and had the baby, and
Hmm.
Texas now. This is Abbott is
Hmm.
warning hospitals. You better treat this baby. And now the Trump administration has stepped in.
Yeah. What do you
What do
think
you make
about
of
that?
that?
You're a good Irish kid. What do you think?
Well, life is life, and this is the kind of stuff that happens if the surrogates, if the biological parents, wanted full control. Why would you then give the baby to a third party?
Because maybe they couldn't carry a baby to.
No,
Um,
sure, sure, but then,
um,
with that understanding, do they now have the right? Because even an abortion can
yeah.
be risky and risk the mother's life.
Yeah.
You know. And if it is a
Well,
treatable heart defect, you know,
well, I'm with you. I mean, in this particular case, I'm guessing that the legal issues are not what the personal ones are that we're observing. Because you and I are
yeah,
looking, well, the baby's otherwise okay. It's treatable. Treat the baby, and hopefully the baby has a good, long, healthy life.
yeah,
And that's what we're thinking. But what the courts may be thinking is who has who owns the embryo, what is the contract between the surrogate and the parents who own the embryo, theoretically?
right,
What is
right,
their call? And how can they affect what this surrogate woman, a human being, does with her body? Maybe,
yeah.
like you said, there's risk. I'm guessing that those are the legal issues. And then you and I can look at it. I think most people would say, if this is a treatable situation, can't we take care of the baby? And by the way, I'm sure somebody would adopt it, because there are a lot
Yeah.
of people that
Well, that's what I'm thinking now, Bob. Like, who owns the baby now? The baby's sitting in a bed in a hospital.
right,
Does the surrogate own it? The biological parents own it? Who's like in
yeah,
charge of this baby?
that's a tough one.
Does
I don't know.
Trump own it?
Yeah, well, if he gives it a Trump account, then
And lastly, the number one favorite to replace Caroline Leavitt as press secretary in the White House.
yeah, who?
Uh, CNN's Scott Jennings.
You know
How
why I
about
don't think he'd be good at it?
why?
Because he is not actually good at the positions that he takes. I don't think he's very good because you can see
Yeah.
right through him. The thing about Caroline Leavitt, and you and I have interviewed her many times, um, she actually is committed to what she's doing. She's ready to take on the argument, and he's ready to tap dance and laugh. And I don't think that's an environment that will work. And if he gets the job, I won't be shocked, but I don't think he'll be very
Oh,
good.
I think I'd be shocked because is he really going to walk away from all those CNN millions of dollars?
No, except from there on, he would always be the former press secretary. So,
Yeah,
somebody's always going to want him. But I don't think he'd be very good at it. I don't think he's very good at what he does on CNN. I think that's one of the reasons
I
they
know
don't,
you're right. I
to be
mean,
honest.
like,
I mean, it's the same way Fox has people as the token opposition. And I use
yeah, like
that as
Juan
a
Juan
term from
Williams.
basketball.
Yeah,
Okay. You put up
yeah,
token
yeah,
D, right? That's in
yeah,
practice. Okay. Give him defense, but don't play too hard. And
yeah.
so that's
Like
what
Harold
Roger,
Harold Ford.
and I
In your
love
face,
Harold.
Harold.
Yes, I love Harold, and he was very polite, and he would have good positions. He's still on every now and then, but he was the kind of person that everybody liked spending time with. He's a good guy. Would give you the argument, but then the other four people would win, and I
Right.
think that's what Jennings does. I don't think
Yeah.
he's actually crafty enough to take on some of those people in the White House. And as much as I disagree with a lot of what this White House does, Caroline Leavitt is good at what she does.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have.
Okay, well, I haven't even started yet, Jerry.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Roll up your
I'm,
sleeves.
yes, I am. I am a little concerned about this, um, where this administration is going, as far as its autocratic tendencies, and the fact that it gets very little pushback from some of the institutions around it. And you've seen Trump recently talk about Democrats as communists. And I think there's a reason for that because a lot of what he does is socialism, like taking ownership in companies. I'm going to play a video. Let's see if I have that. This is from Bloomberg, and they did a good job. They did a good job challenging Kevin Hassett, director of
Yeah.
economic um, counsel at the White House. And they had asked him about socialism, and he said, "Well, socialism is when you go and you open up grocery stores, referring to New York, of course, and then
Right. Yeah.
you don't have
Mondani.
enough products, and everybody ends up hungry and everything. And then the anchor.
Socialism leads to, public disorder, and you see it in Venezuela, you see it in Cuba, and so on. And so it's a terrible path to go.
Well, if government ownership of means of production is part of the definition there, then the Trump administration has taken shares in Intel, MP Materials, Trilogy, Metals, Lithium Americas, and they've got the golden share in U.S. Steel. Why is that not socialism?
Yeah, because it's not control. So, for example, the Norwegians have a sovereign wealth fund. They own maybe about 3 or 4% of U.S. equities. That's not socialism. They're not going in and telling the management what to do and so on. And so I think that one of the things that President Trump and Howard Lutnick have noticed is that in the end, the U.S. would be way better off if we have something like a sovereign wealth fund. And we're certainly putting up firewalls to make sure that the government can't come in and micromanage those firms.
What?
That's a good one. We're just dipping our beak.
Well, he did not have an answer. If the
No.
answer to how is this not socialism, your answer is, well, Norway has a sovereign wealth fund.
Right.
Excuse me,
Right.
that's all you got?
It's
You
not
didn't think-
socialism because we're doing it. They're not. Yeah.
And by the way, the reason Norway can have a sovereign wealth fund
Yeah.
is they have a surplus. And with
Oh.
that surplus, they can take some of it and
Yeah.
invest it. Trump
don't
has
have a
talked about
surplus.
creating a sovereign wealth fund. He's
Yeah.
missing out on something. A surplus.
Yeah.
We don't have one.
$40 trillion in
40
debt.
trillion in debt, right? And even if you went by a yearly basis, last month, July, I think we spent almost $500 billion that we didn't have, a record amount. So I'm concerned about where the government is going. That is, by the way, why they have to be careful when they call something socialism, because that's going to be, well, wait a minute, Mr. President or Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Republican, isn't the president, when he owns Intel or parts of Intel? Remember the Intel guy? He really beat up in social posts, and then he calls him in, and by the time he leaves, the government owns a piece.
Right.
So, wait a minute, what? So
They must have waterboarded them.
No, I think they had an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
So let's see what else. We've got the Kennedy Center is saying, yeah, they're going to put the name on the Kennedy Center.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. And I don't like that because, first of all, it doesn't belong on there. Congress has nothing to do with that. And that's what a court said. And so they went back and said, yeah, we're going to put his name at the end, saying this is
right. It's it's a footnote.
Right. Well, it'll be underneath it and say it was renovated by and all that. Yeah, that's obviously not the intent of what the court wanted. Let's see. That's yeah. This is so. It's just a game that they're playing, and this will go back into the courts, which I think have done a pretty bad job of actually stand. We'll put it this way: Congress has not stood up to Trump almost at all. Okay, he put together his own board for the Kennedy Center, and he's playing games. He goes to the courts to buy time. Oh, you're going to love this story. Let's see where I can find this. Where can I find this? Yeah, you're going to love this, Jerry. There were these guys who were deported, right? I'll tell you the story. They were deported. This is how the courts are trying to stay out of politics. These guys were deported last year. I think it was Venezuela. And so Trump made the argument in the courts that he was using the Alien Enemies Act, and that it was necessary because Venezuela was a threat, and he was using his presidential powers. And the court said, no, that's really not the situation. So in an appeal, they said, well, go beyond the 3 judges you had, have them meet en banc. So all of them, I think it was 17 judges came in, and they listened to the arguments on both sides that you shouldn't be able to kick people out according to that Alien Enemies Act. And the Trump side saying, oh, yes, we can. Okay, They heard that in January, all of them. They came out with their decision yesterday. You know what the decision was?
What?
Well, since the guys were kicked out of the country, we've got no plaintiffs here, so we're not going to give a ruling.
Oh,
Didn't see
interesting.
that one coming.
No.
And you
That's
know
pretty
why?
good.
You know why you didn't see it coming? Because both sides agreed, because they want a resolution on whether the president can use that. They want a resolution one way or another. So both sides were willing to take other plaintiffs to take their place, if that's
Okay.
but the court said
No.
no. So
Yeah.
now this just tosses it up in the air. This is where the courts are failing, in my opinion. I mean, stand up. You want to take a popular or unpopular position. Besides the fact that it would have been appealed anyway, and there are other cases in other parts of the country that'll probably end up in front of the Supreme Court.
Well, Bob, it's one of the oldest lessons in the book. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Don't leave any bodies around.
You've also got, by the way, Trump making a lot of money. And this is something that bothers me. He wants to sell access to his Truth Social post. Now, I don't know that anybody's actually paying the rate. He wants $100,000 a month so that you can get his Truth Social post a little early.
Oh.
Why would you want that?
Yeah.
To trade on it.
Oh, yeah.
And so supposedly they have at least 3 entities that have signed up for it. It may be more than that, but a handful that have signed up. High frequency trading places that if they can get ahead of other people trading just by a second, they can make some money front running it.
Right,
microseconds. I'm using the illegal term.
Yeah.
And so people are saying this is like legalizing insider trading.
Well, doesn't Pelosi offer such a service?
What's that?
Doesn't Pelosi offer such a service?
She should. Oh, yeah. I mean, by the way, both sides, I'm totally against both sides trading stocks, completely against it. But this happens to be the president right now. And I don't like that kind of game going on.
You mean the president that sells wristwatches and gold coins? And
he sells a little bit of everything. In fact, if you want to buy DJT stock, this is a Trump media stock, which has Truth Social. It also has a bunch of crypto stuff, which is lost.
I never heard of this. Trump Media and Technology Group does that publicly trades?
Yeah, and the symbol is DJT, and they had a SPAC that went on and bought the company, and it was all approved and happened in 2024. You can see how high it got there and where it is now. It's down precipitously, and
it's like Newsmax stock.
We won't get into that, but and then with this, they are also planning on getting together with a nuclear fusion company, as one would when you're
nuclear fusion.
Yes, yeah. I'm guessing that somebody will have access to government contracts that might be passed along. But this is what we're talking about, Jared. These things are not normal in my mind. They're not normal.
No.
And
poor Harry Truman left the White House a pauper. They had to raise money for him. They had to create a presidential pension so that he could afford the train back to Missouri.
Right. By the way, speaking of presidents, remember how they had JFK used to doodle? Remember that? There was something in the New York Times. I think they have a study showing that it's really healthy for people to draw. And I was thinking, there are examples of these were some doodles from JFK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
wow. Okay. Not very creative.
No, but he had a bunch of them, and some of them were quite. Let's see. There was also Ike did it, LBJ did it, Clinton did it. There are a bunch of them that used to doodle in some meetings. Here's one from LBJ, and I think we all are familiar with what a big fan that Clinton was of JFK, but it turns out he was quite a fan of LBJ's doodling because this was Clinton's doodle.
Get out of here. That's
I
a
made that
joke.
up.
You did it. Very funny.
Let me tell you, that was tough to get through ChatGPT.
Well,
I had to fight with it to say, look,
that's
I'm
pretty
making
funny.
a joke. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
You have
Well,
anything?
Bob, I think we should wrap it up. I'm going to call you with something urgent
Okay.
because I need your advice on something. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you right after this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And don't mess with the Kennedys.